What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope everybody's subscribed. You better be subscribed or else. That's it. Hey, man, another video by the homie Maven. I wrestled on the final WWF show. I hate to say that was the beginning of the end because obviously wrestling never died to some people. But when it switched, I swear to God, you can tell, you can see the pendulum shift or pendulum. You could see the shift. When that mug switched and there was no more WWF, it was WWE, that was the first sign of foods jumping off the boat. And then when they started shoving Cena down our throats, no pause, that's when everybody was kind of like, okay, I'm out of here. And that's that. But Raven also happened to be wrestled on the last show. Let's see where it was at.
2002, history was made as the WWF would hold its last show, becoming the WWE. And that event was held here at the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts, formerly known as the Centrum. And I was lucky enough to be on that final show.
Little cool intimate arena.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the name change, the World Wildlife Fund actually had the legal right to the acronym WWF. However, at the time, WWF.com took you to a wrestling site, and this was not acceptable from the World Wildlife Fund. They wanted to actually be able to use the acronym that they
Bro, that Bob Cousy is clean behind him.
Type in WWF.com and go to their website. And at the time, there wasn't many of us that thought they would pose a big challenge. Oh, were we wrong.
Boy, we talking about animals, PETA. Boy, PETA could have somebody canceled. Boy, I'm really canceled. Y'all heard of a guy named Michael Vick? Yeah.
So how did the guys backstage feel about the name change? Well, from what my memory serves, we thought World Wrestling Entertainment had a very uphill battle, but that was only because everyone knew and everyone thought of wrestling as WWF. WWF was actually branded. When you heard that title at the time, you thought immediately of wrestling. Well, that is, unless you were with the World Wildlife Fund. But what did that mean? How were we supposed to react? If you had a branded shirt with a logo on it that had WWF anywhere, and in those days, they would have the crest usually in the middle, they were a no-go moving forward. So we went one day being able to wear anything, and the next day being held to a very high standard. And they wanted the name change. They wanted the change to be immediate. They weren't about to allow.
Bruh. They probably have and I know about the WWE warehouse, which I'm one day would see. Yo, there's probably mad boxes in there of hella vintage shirts. Oh, we got to get in that warehouse in Connecticut, bro.
Anything, and I mean anything, with that WWF branded logo moving forward after tonight. Now, even though we knew this was a historic show, it was still business as usual. Once we came through that garage, we went down here, found a place for our rental cars, got out, and then went down a hall like that to find our locker room, because the fans that were going to fill this arena, they still came for a show. They still wanted to see amazing wrestling action. They, for the most part, probably could care less about the name change. Remember, a town like this, we were probably in one, maybe twice a year. So just like every other night, we knew we had to bring it.
Was it a house show? It is a small town. Yeah, I forgot. I already forgot the town's name.
The WWF would come to an end.
Al Snow. Good.
So my match for the last WWF show
Worchester.
that we would ever have, yeah, I wasn't in the main event, and that's fine. I mean, Hulk Hogan was in the main
And Jericho,
event.
nice.
But I was in a tag match. I was in a tag match with my trainer, with Al Snow. And remember, at this time, I was terrified still. I was still relatively new. I was still extremely green. And I was fortunate enough to be working with Billy Gunn,
song,
who is a legend.
Sound like
and
Backstreet Boys and
who,
shit. NSYNC.
in 2002, was still a veteran. Billy's partner, obviously, was Chuck Palumbo. And Palumbo, in his own right, was still a veteran. Al, my mentor, was going to make sure that...
Quick fact, Chuck Palumbo decided to not come back to wrestling, which they offer him all the time. And he's a mechanic in Vegas. And I don't mean just like a Jiffy Lube. He has his own garage and stuff like that. Like, you know, he's up there. Obviously, I'm sure his clients are some like high-end stuff. But yeah, shout out Chuck Palumbo. Shout out to the car world.
Two things happened each and every night. One, I was going to get better. Every night, something was going to improve with my wrestling. And
they took the headbands.
The second thing Al was
house shows are the
going
best,
to be
guys.
Sure of is that
Go
I
to your
was
local
gonna win
house shows and
something
support. It's
each and
fun,
every
man.
match. And this consisted of when we went backstage, maybe asking, why I did something, and what I was thinking, good or bad. Now,
What
this
are they
could be
doing?
Al asking me, why did you cut Billy off during that Hope spot? Me giving my reason and him telling that was good, or maybe you want to do it, at this time. The biggest difference of wrestling in a house show or non-televised event as opposed to wrestling on Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view is just the overall attitude of everybody. Everybody at a live event knows they have to be totally on their game. And if you're doing a Raw or pay-per-view, you know that you don't have any do-overs. You know you don't have the luxury of really learning on the fly. Whereas during the house shows or non-televised event, we could go out, we could take calculated risks, but risks nonetheless, and we could just learn as we go. Now, since I had been in a WWF locker room at this time for a while, the heat that I had was fine. They knew I was there for all the right reasons. They knew that although I wasn't a finished or completed product at this time, that as the weeks progressed, I was getting better week after week. But that doesn't mean that I still wasn't nervous. So I was still terrified in every match we had. It didn't matter. I still had that same sinking pit feeling in the bottom of my stomach. And before our music would hit to go out, every match, I still remember thinking, why did I do this? Why am I doing this why did I pick this as a career? And that feeling, I still carry to this day, but that's a feeling that as soon as I go through the curtain, that feeling is gone.
Oh, the Maven drop kick. Oh, one of the most beautiful drop kicks of all time. I love it.
And as we walked out of the locker room as a WWF wrestler for the last time, actually making history, most guys weren't concerned with the name change. In fact, most guys were worried about getting to the next town and figuring out where we were going to eat for the night. For fans leaving this arena that night, it was a sentimental time. They had just witnessed the last show in the WWF's history. But for the boys, for us, it was just another one down and on to the next show. And to see me break down the difference between the Raw and SmackDown locker room, click the link on screen.
Click that link. Man, thank you, Maven, for another great episode of your super duper rising YouTube channel. That thing is skyrocketing, you know what I mean? But man, I missed that WWF logo, man. No, 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 no. Scratch that. Scratch that. Scratch that. The beginning of SmackDown. Are you ready for the nostalgia, 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 man. Another great video by Maven, you guys. Hey, 85% of you guys that watch this shit don't subscribe. So just subscribe. Or else I'm gonna get mad. All right, y'all. Peace.